Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm Merlin, and welcome to episode 2 of the Unify PvP Community Spotlight. Today, we have the honor of welcoming another special guest to our show. He's the heart of the PvPrimal Discord, someone whose innovation, resilience, and passion has shown in his work for the PvP scene time and time again. Gary or Gariketo, welcome to the show.
Hello, Merlin. Thank you for having me.
How's your week been? How's your day going right now?
It's going all right. Be able to get rival wins popping the second day after the patch, so that's it's pretty cool. Weekend's been this was nice too. Just a lot of refreshing or planning for LunarCon. That was a lot of fun doing the LunarCon tournament. Did it with Brian, Co, and Crystal.
Huge congratulations!
Thank you.
From what I heard from the players, like overall, it was very well received. So
yeah, everyone had a good time. The winners were very happy, and it was fun actually trying to get them their earnings and their winnings, because I was like, they pigged me, and they're like, so when do we get our rewards? I'm like, that's a great question. That is not something I deal with. Let me find out. And then we had to go because it was the closing ceremony for LunarCon. The tournament was the final thing on their plate. And it was travel to a whole different world and then track down the person who actually had the prizes for them. And there were so many people at LunarCon with the event location that they were, the venue or wherever they were at for the closing ceremony. And trying to find the person, because they're not on my friend list, was like a needle in the haystack. Because there were just so many people. You'd walk like 2 feet and like 20 more people would spawn out and spawn in. So that was fun trying to find them, but everyone got paid, and now they're getting a trophy shipped out to them. So
yeah,
they had a fun time.
The trophy was definitely like iconic. I would say it's obviously not an easy thing to ask, especially as far as shipping is involved. I want to give thanks again to the creator of that. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, who is Gary?
Sure, the guy. The guy in the mask or the guy behind the mask, Marlon? What do you want?
Let's start with the guy in the mask for now.
Okay. So, for myself, I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV since the closed beta on PS3. Oh. Shout out to Square Enix for letting me purchase the PS3 version of this game and still playing the same version to PS5 and just keep upgrading me without having me to spend any more money on it. But then again, they nickel and dime me every time, for a subscription fee. So maybe not super shout out to Square Enix. But yes, I've been playing since ARR, going all the way back then. And I wouldn't really, since I've taken up doing PvPrimal and more of this community stuff, I've basically kept my subscription running constantly. There's a few times I've taken a break. But way back then, I used to only play big major patches. Then again, way before, it was patch content was they're getting new dungeon every little sub patch, and it's crazy to see how it's just changed to there's nothing in this current patch.
So that means, in regards to PvP, you got to see the birth of Frontlines and I think it was 8-player queues.
Yes. Emphasis there on C. See the birth. PvP in this game. I will be one of those people that said it was bad. All right, I can put that on record for this. I don't know why we had to do positionals in the original release for PvP, but they were there because they just took your entire job kit and they were just like, hell yeah, go play Frontlines. I didn't really play PvP that much because I didn't find it to be that fun. And it wasn't until we got to Shadowbringers that I actually gave PvP more of a chance. I played it a bit more in Stormblood because Stormblood was the golden age of getting XP for playing, because everyone got the same amount of XP whether you won or lost, and it was much faster to level during Stormblood playing Frontlines than it was to do dungeons as a DPS, because you had to sit through DPS queues and PvP queues were instant. So you just queued into the game and it was an actual XP grind. Yeah. But it also means I wasn't really trying that hard back then. But I got a lot of XP with a lot of other people.
It was finally around then when they got rid of the alliance queues, right? When you were able to queue for
freelancer was a thing. You had the option of, I don't remember if freelancer was forced initially or if it got forced after. That's something that is a a little before my time of paying attention to actually what I was
Yeah.
doing.
I want to say it was
Um,
forced later, but I don't recall
I want to
myself.
say that too, but I don't remember because I know freelancer was a thing, but forced freelancer is what like balance front lines or their attempts of
Mhm.
balancing front lines.
Were you Gary
Um,
Keto then at that time as well? Have you always been Gary or Gary Keto?
yes, I've kept the same name for forever. Um, but I didn't start like playing PvP and like doing more community stuff until Shadowbringers. That's
Mhm.
kind of where like PvPrimal has its start too, where it was me and Raven Myong, who should also be like a well-known name in the community at this point. Um,
Mhm.
but it was just us being like, we want to win more frontline games, or at least have like a better chance of winning, because we realized that if we had pre-made, we'd have an easier time of just having more fun and not having people who didn't heal or all this other stuff
Yeah.
going back, just like Shadowbringers where healers could carry and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
I miss
Entirely.
Shadowbringers frontlines, I'm
Good
not
times,
gonna
good
lie.
times. You just mentioned PvPrimal, and
Hmm.
obviously Raven that I think was there from the very beginning. Um,
Yes.
can you tell us a bit more into like where your head was at? Did you ever think that PvPrimal would become what it is today, or like what was it
No,
leading
not
into?
in the slightest. So going back to what I was just saying, PV Primal originated as a link show called Primal Frontliners, where it was me and Raven basically going down. it's kind of this is funny now, but we would go down the top 100 for frontline wins because we're like, oh wow, there's a leaderboard for frontlines. These guys, these people must be really good. And we would go through and we would just try to find people who were just playing often and winning a lot. And we're like, let's invite them all to a link show. And that way we could have people to reach out to play with more. And that's kind of where the whole thing started. And it grew from that as getting more into the community and kind of like fostering, a community from that link show. Cause then it's like, oh wow, more people want to join because that link show was so active. The original one
Mhm.
when we first made it, it was like every single day for months, everybody was talking in it. Like thinking back, it's kind of I kind of miss that. Where the link show was, there was always like multiple pre-mades being made out of that. Everybody was always super nice and friendly. Like we had our moments because everybody has their moments, but generally it was just like a really nice time. And it is kind of sad that a lot of those people don't really play anymore. Um,
Yeah, there's a time and place
but
for MMOs, so that's just the
Yeah,
reality of
yeah,
it.
it,
Yeah.
that is yeah, because it's a subscription-based MMO. Everyone's not going to play all the time. People move on, other things, other games. But I do miss how active in the original Link show was, because you got me thinking about it. But what happened and what ended up occurring was more people would find out about the Link show, and then it's like I would prune it because I would basically prune it weekly. Like if people weren't really using it or talking, we
Mhm.
like remove them to just try and keep it still active, and that's how we kept it as active forever. Um, but eventually there was a need for a second link show, so we made a second link show, and then it was like, okay, people want to be in both link shows, and then talking between link shows is just annoying. So it was like we need a new place to gather and everything. So we ended up making a Discord. And that Discord was still, Primal Frontliners. And it didn't become PV Primal until later in Shadowbringers, where it was like we wanted to expand more because we started to do events. Like the first event we did was helping Revival in a way with getting a Q sync, a frontline Q sync for Primal, because Primal didn't have any frontline Q syncs. They were usually always on Aether. Aether was like the main hotspot for
Mhm.
PvP, especially for frontlines. And Primal didn't have anything. So it was, all right, Raven and I really want to try and get a Q sync for frontlines. And it ended up our first one got planned in Revival on the same day that an Aether one did, but like an hour earlier, I want to say. And it was like, if we can get ours to pop and Aether also pops, then we should be good for the future. So it was telling everybody in the link shows about this, and then putting it out on the Discord, and we got our first one in to pop, It was a blast. We played for like 3 hours, and then
Nice.
it became more of a regular thing of every few weeks or like every month we do another Q sync, and the ball just starts rolling and rolling and rolling, and then it's like, oh, people want to do rival wings, or people want to do feast training because feast was dead and training was dead,
I miss
which
Feast.
I'm so yeah. I don't miss waiting in queue to try to get a game for feast. Um, But like one thing I really enjoy about Crystal Conflict, getting a little tangent here, is that casual is basically almost always popping. So people can just play the mode. You couldn't really do that for Feast. So even getting Feast trading to pop was a pain, even though it's only 8 people. Like once we got the ball rolling there, we played training regularly. Um,
That's awesome.
but it's just, yeah. But it's just stuff like that. Like we wanted to play more modes. We didn't want to just be frontline oriented, and we wanted to make sure that each of the modes was like active on Primal. So having us be called Primal Frontliners didn't really make that much sense anymore. So we swapped to something like PvPrimal, which
Yeah, so
better
into
it
it.
states.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, PvPrimal, even though a lot of people call it PvP Primal, it's not PvP Primal, guys. It's PvPrimal. Um, but no, like it felt like the needed transition of where we wanted to go like later and more events and stuff to hold and more like to grow the community out of just side of frontlines. And I think that was a good change as we've gone on to hold, I think, big events for every game mode at this point except for a dueling tournament. We've not held a dueling tournament, but
Yeah, it's
maybe
something to
one
think
day.
about now. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and this was at a time when DC travel didn't exist yet.
Yeah, this was back when getting your game modes and getting your activity meant that you needed to come directly from your data center. There wasn't any, oh, hey, can you guys, transfer over to Primal to play Rival Wings? Or, hey, we're holding this frontline Q sync if anyone wants to, travel over and come. No, it was, you needed the community here to queue up on its own to get these game modes to pop. And I think having that for Primal is what has
Mm.
made it such a strong data center. If I can, I think I can say that now. For activity going into Endwalker and just throughout Endwalker now, because we were able to build up that community of just Primal players and people on Primal who would want to queue up for the modes in
Mm.
Shadowbringers, and especially towards the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, it speaks for itself now with the amount of activity. You even got an article shout out, I believe, for your Rival Wings
Yes,
pops. Can you tell us a bit about like what was going on with Rival Wings and the Muggleton event recently?
sure. So with Rival Wings and with Moogle Tomes, it's been a thing we've been basically building up on each Moogle Tome event. Like for the first one I can remember for Endwalker, it was trying to see if we could get Rival Wings to pop every single day on Primal. And we got, or every single day out of the week, the first week on Primal. And we got the first 6 days to pop because we wanted to not wait until like 8 p.m. at night, like we usually do, 8 p.m. Eastern, or if it's like we don't really know if it's gonna pop, we push back to 9 p.m. Eastern. But for Moogle Tomes, and with everybody always wanting to play Moogle Tomes, it was like we should push it up to 3 p.m. Eastern in like the middle of the day, kind of afternoon type area, and see if we can just play for the whole day instead of having to wait until night. So we tried that, I want to say 2 Moogle Tomes ago, and we got it to pop every single day except for Sunday. We were not able to get Rival Wings to pop on Sunday for Primal. But for the rest of the event, we still had it popping regularly. So then the next Moogle Tomes, it was okay, let's see if we can just get it to pop every single day out of the week. And
Mm.
we were able to accomplish that. So every day at 3 p.m. Eastern, Rival Wings was popping on Primal. Shout out to Grizz, shout out to Audrey, shout out to Tala, shout out to Lolly, shout out to a bunch of other people that I'm not going to be able to remember right now. I wanted to like shout, tell everyone, tell our friends, tell other people in the community, let's queue up, let's play Rival Wings, let's get it going early. And then that transitioned into this last event where it was like I want to play Rival Wings the moment the event starts because there were some times during Moogle Tomes and Shadowbringers where Rival Wings would pop the exact moment the event, went live at 3 a.m.
It's awesome to see the amount of work you guys have invested into PvP, and I'm sure the community greatly appreciates that. So thank you.
Well, thanks. I can't, and I know PvPrimal can't take all the credit for this, for specifically for Rival Wings. Definitely big shout out to Revival and Midas for giving us the ping I asked for at 3 a.m. in the morning to say we want to try and get Rival Wings popping, like like I said, some of the events before at 3 a.m. And he put the ping out, and then shout out to all the people for CC, the CCers, the frontliners who basically just killed Q. The moment that got as the rank just died, all the CCers jumped in the games, I think it was like Wishing Well even sent me a DM being like, could you bring Q back for CC? They were silver trying to climb at that moment, and it just died the moment the event went live because everyone just hopped in the Rival Wings. And just having everyone being able to just come together for like a moment like that is what drove this event to last for 413 hours straight on Primal. So definitely shout out to like everybody else in the community for,
Did I hear
that
right?
as well.
413
Yes,
hours.
413 hours without a game being dropped. That's 2.5 weeks, and it finally broke for 3 hours on a Wednesday morning at like 8 a.m. And then it picked up again, but after it broke the first time, I think that was just kind of the whole, all right, we don't actually have to play Rival Wings for 24/7. But 2.5 weeks, that was crazy. We had one more streak towards the end, where I think from Friday until maintenance and everybody got kicked out the game, it was just 24/7. So like it was like another 72 hours of just straight Rival Wings, where Sox and I were playing. We were able to somehow win like a miracle win for that game that we played. And the moment we tried to queue back up, we got kicked out with a 90k of the servers have gone down.
Oh,
And
no.
queues were still less than 5 minutes at that moment. So there was like 2 or 3 games going at maintenance of people still just trying to play. So yeah, it was that rival was definitely a big moment of everyone just coming on to here to play on Primal.
That's definitely something you're not going to easily forget about, right? Like that's going to be
no. The next thing's topping that for the next Moogle Tomes, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, that's something that's going to stick with you for the rest of, hopefully for as long as we can keep PvP alive. With that said, though, like how do you balance out both playing the game and organizing these tournaments? Because as far as I can recall, like you've hosted there's the PvPrimal, the PV Pit. There might be one more I'm forgetting about, and another tournament that's coming up soon.
Yeah, we've had 2 Primal Premieres where the Primal Premieres are tournament series for like established teams. We had the first one back in December of last year, and Let Them Fight won that. And we just we had one right before the CCRC, and Skill Issue won that one. So those are for like the established teams that you come in with your team and you see how far you can go and hopefully win. We put our biggest prizes out for that tournament. We also have our tournament for newer players, which was the Primal Pit. You were actually one of the coaches in that.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun.
Yes, I'm glad you had a lot of fun. That's a great experience watching everybody join from the beginning of that month and seeing them develop over the course of all the practice, and the advice they got from coaches like you to putting everything they could together for the actual tournament date. That was, for that weekend. That was a great thing. Yeah, so we have another one of those planned coming in February of next year, so February of March. We're probably going to change it up a little bit. It's still going to be for newer players, but probably towards more the upper bracket of getting people more into Light Party to try and take some of the the extra work off of the coaches of having to like teach people how to play the game and also to play LP. But we'll have more details, for that to come later time. But those are our
Hmm.
two main tournaments for CC that we do at PvPrimal. And we maybe might add another one, but nothing for that is set in stone. That might be something to watch out for if you like LP, but that would be more for newer teams.
Yeah, and I can't recommend it enough. I'm already excited just hearing about it. It was a ton of fun the first time, and I'm sure the next time is going to be even better. It's only up from here, right? Like, Crystal Conflict is still, even though we're on the 8th season, it's still relatively new. We had 20 seasons of the feast, so there's going to be a lot of adaptations and things we can learn from the previous tournaments and adapt to the next one. With that said, though, I did want to know, and it was part of my question, how do you balance like playing the game and organizing all of these things? Obviously, it takes a lot of your personal time. Is there anything like something that you always keep in mind in order to avoid burnout or like aggravation about anything?
I would say the direct answer is I don't balance it.
Just pure passion
No,
and brute force.
no, it's just like it's definitely something that came up when I was trying to also play LP and then also compete in like the tournaments that we would run. And what would just happen is I perform poorly in LP, and then there's just a lot more hassle with trying to organize the tournament because I need to make sure the tournament goes well, and my personal performance would suffer. So now I don't really play LP as much. In fact, I
Hmm.
don't think I play LP at all. I don't think I'd call myself an LP player. I don't even really play CC that much at all anyway. But for balancing it, it's just kind of like reaching out and trying to lean on the other people at the PvPrimal staff when possible and making sure that things go smoothly and still trying to have time to play when I want to play myself. Like everybody's playing Rival Wings, and it was like I care more about making sure that other people get to play than I get to play myself, which is something that I think is like one of the reasons why PvPrimal has even been as successful as it has been. I don't really care if I get to play or win. To be honest with you, Merlin, I was not the biggest fan of Rival Wings during Shadowbringers, and I am like completely over Rival Wings now.
You're not alone, myself
like,
included, to be honest. But
oh my lord, can we get another map? Like, my god, how many times do we have to play Hidden Gorge? Like, I just want another
yeah,
map. Like, can we get Astrolagos back? Can they like give us a new map? Like, they have a whole moon. Like, there's things they could do, and it's just like, nope, it's still Hidden Gorge.
what's
They
un-
took Secure away from Frontlines. I don't think that's coming back.
oh
I,
my god. I'm happy you mentioned
but I don't.
Astrologos because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
only played it once. I
I haven't played it at
remember
all.
I accidentally unlocked Searing Gorge. I wasn't actually trying to unlock it. I just happened to come
Uh-huh.
across the quest. I was like, oh, what's this? And I think it was maybe like the week of, or maybe even like the day before it got disabled. So I played it once. I remember just being entirely lost. I'm like, wait, this is awesome. And then before I knew it, it was
Yeah.
gone. It hasn't come back.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've not touched it at all. Even though, like I said, I've been playing PvP. I've been playing the game since ARR, but I was not really into PvP. So Astrolagos was not something I ever queued for.
Yeah.
But I would love to queue for it now. Can we please bring it back, Square?
One day. Doncho, right?
Um,
Doncho.
yeah, surely. That boat's gonna take us to Astrolagos. That's where we're going. No, but like I'm so over playing Rival Wings. Like I've had more fun now. Like it's been like I've kind of like had a renaissance of enjoyment. But there are a lot of times, even during this like 24/7 or before with like the last Mythical Tomes, or even just in general of trying to when we do Rival Wing nights at PvPrimal, I don't actually want to play. I am so over playing, but I'll sit there for a little while trying to get the game mode to pop, telling other people to queue up, because I know other people really want to play. And if other people really want to play, I'll try to like get the game mode popping. Like if this like the CCers ever came to me and were like, Garu, there's Q is dead. It's always dead. I'd try to help get CC to pop, which is kind of what we're doing now with trying to like establish a daily queue time for Primal, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we're trying to just get that to pop. Usually, when we tell people to like, we've been doing it for about 2 weeks now, and usually when we put the ping out and like yell at everybody, unranked to gold pops, and then it's like the slow trickle effect for the other ranks to pop. You know, platinum, diamond, crystal. They usually pop later in the night, but for me, I think it's important to try and just establish and get it out there that if you queue up for ranked at 8 p.m. on Primal, you will generally get a game if you wait just a little bit. Instead of having people be lost in the dark of when do I queue? I'm sitting in queue for like 2 hours, nothing's happening. Oh, I'm just not going to play anymore. I guess I missed the window to play ranked. I'll just wait till next season.
Yeah, it makes
So
sense.
that's more of like where my mind is with like this stuff, especially when it comes to like trying to balance myself and organizing. I usually put the organization first before I do myself.
Yeah, which you partly answered. What my next question was what do you enjoy the
Mhm.
most about PvP and kind of doing what you do?
What do I enjoy the most? Playing with everybody else.
Yeah, making make friends and playing with the homies, right? That's kind of what it's all about.
Yeah, it's always nice to like. I guess it'd be twofold. Like, what I enjoy the most is just playing with everybody. It's always nice to meet everybody. The whole like the community aspect of the whole thing. Because if it wasn't for the community aspect, I probably wouldn't have like stuck around and done this for as long as I have. But just playing with my friends and having fun playing the game is what I enjoy the most of this whole thing. You
Mhm.
know, the tournaments, everything that's cool. Like, it's really cool to see everybody come together. It's cool when we do like the Q Sync events. And like right now, it's cool how I'm like. So we put out a poll. We put out a poll to see how often people would like us to hold Rival Wing nights during the week to follow up off of this last Moogle Tome event with how it was 24/7 for a da 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 da. And the poll is saying so far it's been out for a day, and we have had 204 people vote on this thing, which is pretty nice. If I do say, considering what this is.
I mean, even just getting the effort for people to take a second and look at it takes a lot.
That's
Yeah.
always what it is. Like, it takes like 1 second, 2 seconds to click on this thing, and then just to give you like a 1 out of 3 answer. And yet it's always such a pain to get people to just do that. We've had 204 votes, and the question was, how often would you like PvPrimal to host Rival Wings on Primal in 6.5? The answer, your options were the usual Friday and Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, or Thursday through Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And the option that is currently winning is Tuesday through Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, with 104 votes. So 50% of the people want to play basically every single day.
Wow.
So going off that, talked with the rest of the staff last night, and I'm like, what if we just played Rival Wings tomorrow and we just tried to put out a ping and see who wants to do it? And Yoshino was like, I'll make the event. This sounds great. I also want to play Rival Wings. So we made the event late last night. I told people, I threw a ping out, in the afternoon today. I was able to talk to in Revival. Midas threw a ping out
Mhm.
today as well. He threw a reminder out at 1. We threw a reminder out, an hour before, and it's still going right now. So they've been playing for 2 hours, and I want to say it's still. Let me just double check. Is anybody complaining about Rival Wings being dead? No. So we're still going. It's just like stuff like that, where that's really nice to see that we can just be like, all right, let's try to play Rival Wings right now, or let's try to play Rival Wings today, and just ask around if anyone else wants to play, throw a ping or two out, and now the game's popping. That's what I also enjoy with this whole deal,
Yeah, and obviously
especially with
it's kind of
PvP.
the difficulty, right? Like our player base isn't that massive by any means. Like,
No, PvP is only really popular when people want to do it, or it's like hot and new, or there's like some cool reward that you get from doing PvP. So that's usually when you see like the highest activity during like the Moogle Tome events, or right after a new series drops, because there's a bunch of things you can buy in the store.
yeah,
Outside of stuff like that, PvP is kind of usually dead. It's just
unfortunate.
not that popular in this mode
Is there
or in
anything
this
that
game.
maybe for a long time like would like to see a screen exchange?
For PvP, like in
Or
general, or
PvP,
like what do you mean?
either be it the mode or like the way the queues are done.
Sure, there's a lot of things I'd like SC to change. One of them being there needs to be a roulette for rival wings, but I think for roulettes for rival wings to be done, they need to add a second mode, so we're not just queuing the same thing on a roulette every single day. That doesn't really
Yeah.
seem like a roulette, you know. They need to add another map. Bring back Astrolagos. This thing has been out the game for like 5 years now, which is wild. 5 years. I remember that thing got removed in like Stormblood. We're going into Dawn Trail. Where's the map? Like that should be unacceptable. Like if this was a part of the game that people cared more about, I think they would have changed this thing by now because you shouldn't take 5 years to fix one map and then just constantly say we're gonna do it the next X pack. We're gonna do it the next thing. Please stay tuned. Like that shouldn't fly.
Yeah, it's always kind of saddening
Um,
to see too because the map is there. Like you can see it on the queue thing, and
yeah,
as new
I mean
players come
it's
in
the
and
map
see
you
it,
see in the preview.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're always
you
wondering
you,
what
you
is
like
this.
you unlock PV, you unlock Hidden Gorge, and you unlock Rival Wings. My bad. And the map that you see is clips of Astrolagos.
Yeah,
It's the same thing right now where you unlock front lines and the map you see is secure. Neither of these maps are playable. So there's more they can do there. I wish they would like improve on that. Like just add more. It feels a lot of the times that SE does the bare minimum for PvP while also constantly pushing new changes and updates to PvP. So it's like they're aware and they know. And like I know Yoshi P loves PvP. I know he does like he pops up for scrims and pickups on JP. Like you can see him, I think on Sosu, I think that's
yes,
his Twitch.
correct.
Yeah, so you can like see, Yoshi P hanging out there, playing games with them. Like that's cool. That's awesome. I wish he'd do that for NA. But like it's great that he's doing it. Like even with the CCRC, how he sat on the floor to watch, the finals and the whole tournament. Like that's cool. Like that's stuff that's like now I would be happier if he also added the maps to the game, but like it is what it is.
Yeah,
Other things I'd like to see added is for rival wings and for front lines. Why can we not see the amount of people queuing up for the mode or sitting in queue? I don't get why that's not there. That would make life so much easier if I could be like, hey, everybody, we only need 5 more people to queue up. Can you just hop into queue really quickly? No, we just have to tell people to go into a black box and wait. And maybe eventually we'll have enough people for the game mode to pop. The option, like, that is there for alliance raids, for every other content, because it's just like caring about your players' time. They can see how long they're going to wait. They can see how many people are also waiting. If they don't want to sit in queue when there's only like 2 out of 48 people, I wouldn't sit in queue. But if it's 30 out of 48 and you only need 18 more people, like that's such a big difference. And I don't get why it's not there.
and it's a small, like, kind of just a small quality of life thing. It doesn't take like having to
Mm-hmm.
remake anything entirely.
Nope. They could just probably flip a switch and just let you see how many people are sitting in queue. It shouldn't be that hard. But just the small stuff like that, I'd like to see them like change with PvP. Because I don't really think I think PvP is balanced pretty well at the moment for CC at least.
Mhm.
Like Frontlines is a mess. They need to like redo Frontlines again with their like balance changes come Dawn Trail. Maybe if they keep the same track record in 7.1, they redo all of the jobs because they have to add the 2 new jobs in, and they're probably gonna make changes to maybe guard or recuperate stuff like that's when I see like changes like that happening. When they do that, they really need to sit down and change Frontlines too because it's just not fun in my opinion. It used to be like a mode that I play, and like I know like a lot of people in PvPrimal, and I know people like other places. Like people used to enjoy playing Frontlines, and now it's just not fun.
Well,
It's definitely the mode that suffered the most from this transition between Shadowbringers and Endwalker.
well, if Square Enix is watching this one day, hopefully, that's obviously something a lot of things that I agree with that I would like to be implemented into the game, especially for how long of the same it's been. It just makes sense for these changes. Like you would think that they would want the same.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we are running low on time here as much as I wish we had all the time in the world. Firstly, thank you again, Gary, for coming on and doing this.
Of course.
Uh,
Anytime, Rowan.
I did want to ask you, this is kind of a side fan question. How did Gary Kettle become a thing?
What do you mean? Like the mask and all, or what do you mean?
Gary Kettle with the K, Kettle. What's the story
Oh,
behind
Gary
that?
Kettle. Well, what's the okay? So that all right. So that's very that's a simple thing. My name, people usually shorten my name down to Garu, and U is right next to Y. So I think it was Lolly and other people too. Um, but they would misspell typing my name really fast, and they changed it from Garu to Gary. And then it's like, okay, so half of my name is now something. And then eventually at some point, people change the end of my name to Kettle. And that's how you get Gary Kettle because it's just
Oh my
misspelling
god.
my name and all the other variations that come of that. Because then they changed my last name to Salami. Because,
Well, thank you for informing us.
yeah.
Before signing off, is there any maybe like a shout out you want to give, or maybe any socials you want people to find you at?
Shout out. I mean, my socials are just, it's just my username on everything. You can find me everywhere. I don't use any of these social medias, but you can find me there. Shout outs, just shout out to PvPrimal, the staff, everybody there. Shout out to CC Badness for always being the place that, whenever we do team tournaments or even like LunarCon, we made the LunarCon teams. Everyone just shifted over to CC Madness to scrim there because going to their scrim nights on Fridays. So shout out to them. Shout out to Revival for always pinging for lots of our events. For Rival Wings too. Shout out to Paws and Claws. Frisky's gang always has Paws and Claws back. They have a tournament coming up this weekend and next weekend, Friday and Saturdays. Watch. Give that a watch if you're able to. They've got this dual stream this time for the English broadcast and the Japanese broadcast, so that should just be pretty cool to see. Shout out to Socks for like always being the reliable person who's like carrying the backbone of most of the tournament streams. Always has graphics. Crazy to see Socks's growth from having him help with some of our first tournaments to now and just seeing where he is. So shout out, big massive shout out to Socks. Can't give Shocks a big enough shout out. Shout out to you, Berlin, with the Unafy podcast. Shout out to Joji, Argo. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to Unify. I could be here all day giving shout outs to people.
Well, thank you again, Gary. And to our audience out there, until then, I'll see you next time. Peace.
See ya.